Coming up on this special New Year's episode,
we're going to talk about New Year's resolutions and maybe tell you what we think of them.
As well, I'll be sharing my cinema review of Very Harold and Kumar Christmas.
And for what gets me going, I'm going to talk about dirty business.
And as well, we'll be having part 2 with pyrographist Chris Burns. We'll be talking about medicinal use as well as using cannabis in the creative process.
This podcast is for adults only, should not be used as a meal replacement, and may contain nuts.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Noobie and The Doobie. My name is Timmy. I am the Noobie.
Marijane, I am the Doobie.
And this is our last episode of 2021.
Oh, you had me worried. I was like, wait, what? Last episode?
I didn't want to tell you, but I've been thinking about shutting down this thing for quite a while now.
Well, 2022, the Doobie.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Noobie.
No, it'll be just the Doobie.
You're going to keep going?
You're quitting.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Well, I don't know. I thought you were leaving. We need to have better communication. Thank you for everybody who has been tuning in. We launched this podcast on April...
Come on.
20th.
How
420.
dare you.
Bam, I've learned a lot on this show. But we're going to talk more about kind of how the last year has gone on our next episode. As we kind of start off 2022, kind of looking back on 2021. This one here, we wanted to actually look forward.
Yes.
It's kind of going backwards or forwards, depending on how you wanted to look at it.
Well, we don't like to do things the traditional way, so we like to shake things up.
Absolutely.
Everybody at the end of the year is looking back. No, they're looking forward, right? Towards 2022.
That's what we're doing too.
Oh, wait.
We're not as unique as we think we are. Hey, you look really good today, by the way.
Thank you.
This is our...
I did my face.
This is our New Year's attire. This is if we were going to a New Year's party.
You know, my favorite thing about this dress is that I feel like
chicken tonight.
A fairy. Actually, we are having chicken tonight.
Yeah.
I feel like a fairy, and I say that with all the love in the world to all you fairies. I don't mean it negatively. I mean it wonderfully, because I leave sparkles everywhere in this dress.
Yeah, you didn't even have that dress on, but you showed a picture today.
I don't know what happened. I haven't touched sparkles in days, and yet somehow I just thought to look down at my food, because generally I don't look at my food before I ingest it. I just eat it, right? And something was shining at me, and I thought, it's an awfully funny poppy seed. Not a poppy seed. It was a sparkle.
There was literally a sparkle on her bagel.
Yeah.
I've seen her use cannabis on her bagels, but I had never seen a sparkle show up. But things show up in weird places around here. Like, seriously, like in the bed, in the fold of a blanket at any given time.
That's normal.
Oh, look, it's a lighter. Oh, look, it's a joint. What?
That's my favorite. When I pull out my weed box and I go to roll a joint, I'm like, hey, I didn't smoke that last joint I rolled.
Well, as we look forward into 2022, people are going to be having New Year's resolutions. Mm-hmm. And we've talked a lot about New Year's resolutions because we've gone through New Year's a few times now with each other. And I think both of us have a very similar perception of them. But if I say New Year's resolutions to you, what do you think about? How do you perceive them? Do you do them?
Oh, when I hear New Year's resolutions, all I think of are people who committed to losing weight, to eating better. You know, I'm going to exercise more. They went and they got a gym membership. I feel like I just associate it with failure, because all of these people end up failing come February because they made this resolution on a day that somebody else said, you must make this resolution.
Mm.
It's a forced resolution. So I feel like it goes hand in hand with failure, because it's like quitting smoking. If you say to yourself, I'm going to try and quit smoking, fail right away, fail. You just said, I'm going to try and quit smoking. Therefore, you are not choosing to quit. You're not
You're
choosing
just
the
choosing to
date.
try.
You're choosing to try. The reality is, if you're going to choose to quit, you're going to say, I am quitting smoking.
Well, no, that's
Or
very.
I'm choosing to quit smoking.
I like your theory on that chosen date thing, because how many times, say, middle November, someone's like, you know what? They stand on the scale and they're like, what have I done to myself? And people have been talking about pandemic weight and all this stuff.
They're going to look at the calendar and go,
And they're gonna
it's almost New Year's.
Exactly.
So I might as well just eat the cake.
So I might as well just load
get
up.
super fat until December 31st.
And why do I want to go on it now? Because Christmas is coming up.
Oh, the cakes and the cookies and the...
But that would go into what you're saying about the thing of going, well, do you actually want, like were you that horrified to want to make yourself healthier if you're willing to still wait 6 more weeks just so you can load up at Christmas one more time? It's like, how horrified were you, and how really bad did you want to make that change?
Well, see, that's why, like, personally, I believe in daily resolutions. I know I said that to you earlier this morning. I was like, we believe in day one. Every day you are given a new chance to create the life that you want today, tomorrow. And it's a domino effect. What you do today affects tomorrow. Like, I for some reason, I don't know why, but I ended up doing a lot of fishing. Okay, I'll be honest, I met a boy and he liked fishing. So I did a lot of fishing.
It wasn't me.
No.
I hate fishing.
Well, you do like boats, though.
I like boats.
Yes.
I like the boat life.
Yes.
In fact, when I used to go fishing with people because it was the thing to do or whatever, I wouldn't put anything on my hook. So I would sit there and look like I was fishing, and people would laugh at me and go, you caught nothing all day. And inside I was like, yes, but I got a nice relaxing day on the boat.
Yeah. So it wasn't Timmy.
No.
But that's funny. But I actually did start having a problem with my butt. Something about my sciatica and sitting for extended periods of time. So that was July. If I had waited from July till the end of December to actually do something, to get off my butt and do something about it, I tell you what, I wouldn't be in the shape I am today.
You're in good shape.
Thank you.
We also talk about the fact that there's always more work to be done, and that more work to be done is done on a day-to-day basis. I used to make New Year's resolutions, and quite honestly, I had a lot of plans for 2020. It wasn't necessarily a New Year's resolution, but 2020.
We all did. That was like the year.
Yeah, because
it was going to be 420 all April long. We were like,
crazy
party!
Thing. And then people thought, okay, you know what? 2020 is done. 2021 is going to be my year, and things kind of continued. And people are now worried that that's going to carry in. But there are things that I want to do in 2022 that I feel that I need to do. And quite honestly, if you are interested in that, because this is a debate too, and I've been thinking really hard on this, is some people will tell you, don't tell people your goals and your resolutions. That way, if you fail, no one sees it. And, just let them see the outcome, because there's so many haters out there. So you'll get more people trying to stop you from that success, because if you succeed, then they might feel guilty for not succeeding. Then there are other people who say, no, make it very clear what your goals are and what your things are, and make it accountable to other people. What are your thoughts on that? Because I have some things that I think I want to make very public come the new year. Things I've already been processing now, things I've already started to implement. So it's not necessarily that I'm starting in January, but in terms of the public bringing in the fans, friends, family, and having them go on this journey of these things, should I make that public or should I keep it quiet?
I guess that would depend on what the thing is that you're going to do. Like, as you were just talking about it, I was like, hey, I would love to try something new every single day for the rest of, for all of 2022. So I don't even remember what year it is, because and that could be
every day,
trying new foods, because as Timmy can attest, I literally, everything is basic plain. I can't order off a menu unless there's a photo, because then I can see what it is.
So are you officially making that public, or is it you just saying this is something I would like to do? Like, would you make that public?
If I had enough ideas, I probably would make it public, and if the public could help me in choosing some of the things that I could try, obviously I would be documenting each and every one of these new experiences. But if the experience was to participate in an orgy, I wouldn't want the public to know or have
just crossing that
like
off the public
video
list.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, obviously if I'm going to record these things, I want to be able to put them out. So you can feel free to send in your suggestions, and the newbie and I the newbie and I will go through the list. And 366. Is there a leap year? Is it a leap year next year? Why not? You know what? 366, because I will double up on one of those days.
I think that I'm going to make my goals public.
What did you just make me do? I'm sitting here going, what did I just do?
Yeah, I think I'm going to make my goals public. And so be sure to be following us on our individual social medias. I'm at The Real Timmy Boyle, Marijane Baker. And because I think we're gonna have some interesting stuff going forward. There are things though that
your eyes look different. You look very intent right now. Like, he's very intense.
No, I've been thinking a lot about this because COVID, I said the C word, I apologize. The pandemic, whatever you want to say, it shined a lot of light on the way I ran my business and
your life
and my life and just different things. And there was a whole lot where I sat there and said, you know what? Like, a lot of people have blamed the pandemic for certain things. You know, so they say, oh, look how much weight I've gained because of the pandemic, or look at my business failed because of the pandemic.
Honestly, you can blame anything for everything and everything for anything, because it's not what happens to you. It's how you deal with what happens.
That's correct. Yeah. And I don't want to play the victim. And I've realized that I didn't set up my business, my financial world, in any way to prepare for this. And you might say, well, how can you prepare for a pandemic? Oh no, there are ways to prepare financially for stuff like that. There are health-wise and patterns in my life that I got lazy with over the last few years because of going, oh, this thing's taking so long, and I kind of got off of my momentum. And so I just really see, and I think I want to bring the public in, because I think the reason why most people don't tell their goals and their things is not because of a high thing of going, well, I'm just going to show them when it's done. It's some sort of like high moral standard. It's like, no. I don't want to tell anybody, because I don't want to let them know that if I fail, because if I fail, that's embarrassing. And I've taught, to my kids and to others, and you and I have talked a lot about that. I believe that the only failure in life is if you never fail, because that means you've never tried. And so I think I'm prepared to reveal the things that I've been working on. So it's not a New Year's resolution. It's not that I'm starting January 1st, but I will be bringing the public in to that personal journey. But it's stuff that I've been processing for months.
I just want to say that you guys have no idea how huge that is, because Timmy, as much as you see his posts online and whatever, he is very, like, there is a lot of him that he doesn't share. So the fact that he's bringing you guys in, I'm excited. I can't wait to see.
Yeah, well, you don't actually know kind of how I've been playing it out.
I have no idea. That's why I said I can see it in your eyes, and I don't know exactly what is going on, but this is huge.
Here's the thing that bothers me. Though.
About me?
Nope.
Okay.
No.
You're so cute. Oh, no.
Except when I find a lighter just in my fold of my pillow as I go to lie down. I bothered by the fact, so part of me though, the perfectionist side of me, and we've talked a lot about this, about how you can't wait until you have everything in place to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And when we started this podcast, the podcast has been evolving along the way, and new things have been happening, and we've tried to.
I don't think we have everything.
No, we're
quite in
still
place.
working on it. So thank you for watching, and we're still analyzing and figuring out, but we didn't wait. And I did that with my tour and stepping into stand-up comedy and all these things. And this goal of self-improvement that I want to make a public journey is something that it's like, oh, well, how should I structure it? I got to make sure I have, what are the elements I want to have in place so that I can show the public this product. And it's like, no, Timmy, just do it and let them follow along your journey, because it will give you accountability, but hopefully it will encourage people as well. So that's another reason why I think making your goals public is as much as there might be people who will want to stop you, there will be others who may be encouraged and want to follow you along. And this might be something that I do that is just, I don't have it all in place. I just want to have people follow along.
That's funny. As I'm thinking, I'm getting excited now, because not just about your thing. I'm super excited about your thing, but I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to be doing like a bunch of random weird things that I'm so not used to, and I'm going to be out of my comfort zone, and you guys are going to end up with this footage that is either going to be hilarious because I tried eating something that I didn't like, and that in itself will just be comical. Or I'm going to end up finding a bunch of new things that I do like, whether it's food. I keep coming back to food because, like I said, I'm very plain. But, like, honestly, give me other ideas. Like, I've never bungee jumped. I've never skydived.
Well,
I've
done both.
Never skinny dipped. I've never, like, there's so many things that I feel like I was 24 the first time I ever jumped in a pile of leaves. 24. I was 27 the first time I climbed a tree. So, very sheltered life. Please send me.
I was 27 the first time I had sex.
Well, that is true. I got you beat
and
there.
And 28 the first time I had broccoli. So.
Ew.
It's a
broccoli.
Show me the steps of growth there. So follow that along. So that is our thing. And obviously with this show, we have no goals, New Year's resolutions on this show other than to take it week by week and continue to produce something that we find both entertaining and educational.
I just keep searching for words of the week, and Strain's going to, I already do that one.
Well, that's the thing too, because you said one of the reasons why we don't put together these goals and want to make them public is sometimes we figure, well, I don't have enough to find a new thing every day for a year. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to do that. Or like when we started this podcast, things like, I'm not going to have enough what gets me goings, which we're going to have today. I'm not going to have enough words of the week. Yeah. How are we going to come up with enough ideas to do a weekly podcast? And it's amazing how much stuff is out there in this world, how much information, how much entertainment opportunities there are. And you really just got to take it day by day and set out with a goal. And if you don't meet the goal, guess what? At least you strive for the goal. And one thing that we've talked about too, here's this little thing. If you have a 5-year goal, ask yourself what your 5-year goal is. And then challenge yourself to accomplish that in 6 months.
He's so funny. He's like, take this and try and accomplish it like this. I do similar idea, except it's like 5 years in 1 year.
Okay, 5 years in 1 year.
Because after that 1 year, you're still a hell of a lot closer than you would have been if you waited 5 years.
Well, that's the same with 5 years down to 6 months.
Oh my God, that's
right.
Too fast.
But it should scare you. The resolutions and goals should. If you are comfortable with the goal you have set out, then it's not really pushing you. So if you say, I think I could possibly really challenge myself to do 5 years in 1 year and go, yeah, that seems good. I think that's reasonable. If I say I want to do 5-year goal in 6 months and you go, whoa, I'm sitting there saying, maybe that's the magic number. Because the moment you feel uncomfortable, that's when you're actually pushing yourself as a human being.
Okay, you got me there.
All right. So, are you ready to get this show rolling?
Oh, you know I'm always ready for that.
Roll it. Well, it is time for another cinema review.
Ooh, cinema.
For those of you who aren't aware, Marijane has been making me sit down to watch stoner classics, or at least movies that would fall within a genre that stoners would appreciate. Would that be a good way to say it?
Yeah, I would think so, yeah.
And because of my background in the church, I have called this segment Sin Review, as I review sinful movies.
Sinfully
about
delightful.
cannabis. All right, so here we go. So a little while ago, I did a cinema review on Harold and Kumar Visit Guantanamo Bay.
Yep, number 2.
Yeah, it did not get a favorable review. You can go back and check that one. However, this one definitely changed my opinion. And we will be doing the first Harold and Kumar. And you might be saying, well, why are we doing them out of order? Just based on themes. When I first did it, it was like that one fell on Freedom Day. So we thought that was a good one to do Freedom Day. And then this one was Christmas season. And so anyways,
why
that's
do you have
why.
to explain it? You just have to say, why not?
Why not? Okay, fine. Here we go. Cinema review. A Very Harold and Kumar Christmas. Came out in 2011, 10 years ago. Wow. This was a 3D movie. I did not see it in 3D, and it didn't matter. But in honor of the 3D experience, here are 3 things that clearly stood out to me.
That's avatorted.
Even without wearing blue and red glasses. Number 1, do not expose Harold and Kumar to bright lights. Do not get them wet. Do not feed them after midnight. And there are 3 more things that stood out. Number 1, do not, no matter how big the reunion is, how mysterious the gift seems to be, how angry you are at the gift, the reunee, or how the reunee reacts to receiving the gift, do not, I repeat, do not throw a lit, massive super joint out a living room window into the breezy winter evening air when you have a monumentally important and perfectly decorated Christmas tree on which your marriage and life may hinge sitting in front of an adjacent window. It seems obvious, but don't do it. Unless throwing that out the window is actually the way to start a crazy journey which restores your relationship with a best friend, helps you find yourself, and sets new boundaries in your marriage. Then definitely do it. Number 2, never underestimate Neil Patrick Harris.
NPH.
This gift to humanity, of which the suit up.
Love it.
This gift to humanity not only possesses a jawline matched only by Ryan Seacrest, Brad Pitt, and Xena, but he can sing, dance, and act. In fact, give NPH an Oscar for his role in A Very Harold and Kumar Christmas. The world hadn't seen this level of layered acting since Robert Downey Jr.'s spin at Kirk Lazarus in 2008's Tropic Thunder. He was an American white man playing an Australian white man, playing a black man, playing an Asian man. It was very impressive. However, in this movie, NPH is a gay family man playing himself as a straight womanizer playing a gay family man who is married to his actual real-life husband who is playing a straight man playing a gay man. Bam!
You nailed that.
And the Oscar, every Oscar, goes to Neil Patrick Harris.
Yup.
That was incredible. Number 3 of the things that I noticed was Harold and Kumar would be Harold and Kumar without the weed. Here's what I loved most about this movie. Although weed is present in the movie, it's also used to propel the story forward and is even the butt, pun intended, of some of the jokes. Weed doesn't define this movie. In fact, it doesn't even define the characters. I very quickly noticed that Harold was still Harold even though he had quit smoking weed, and Kumar was still Kumar despite apparently smoking even more weed. Spoiler alert. A Very Harold and Kumar Christmas is a story of two guys, friends for life, reunited by Santa Claus, who through one wild and crazy evening of frozen poles, cocaine-laced babies, and dancing on Broadway, were forced to face, identify, and stand up to their inner demons, and ultimately become better human beings and friends. Oh, and they just happen to enjoy cannabis. I hope you heard what I just said there. It was the best part about this movie. A Very Harold and Kumar Christmas was enjoyable, engaging, and just edgy enough to warrant a cinema review of 3 joints out of 5. Ladies and gentlemen, Merry Christmas to all, and to all a high night.
Merry Spliffmas.
Well, it is once again time to find out what gets me going.
No, Timmy, what gets me going?
Let's find out what gets her going.
Well, today's a doozy. It's Dirty Business.
Nice.
And I'm not talking about the show from Home and Garden Television, because
Nice.
that show gets me going, but in a different way. I'm talking about not necessarily illegal, but immoral and unethical behavior. Can be caused by coworker, employee, boss, customers, doesn't matter. Can range from defamation to poor working conditions. Does not matter if you're a man or a woman. Doesn't matter your race, religion, age. You are not exempted from this. Now, I'm specifically going to go a little deeper. I'm going to go deeper because in the cannabis industry, the top positions are held by men. Majority of positions are held by men. And I would like to see that changed. Being a female, I would like to see more females. I would like to see equality. You know, I want to see a little bit of, let's say, gender equality. That's the right word.
That seems very, very politically correct.
Okay. I like to be correct. So I'm going to go a little deeper and specifically speak to the women, okay? I feel like I should say, I'm not speaking to all women. There are plenty of amazing, supportive women within this industry, and I have had the pleasure of working with many of them. Some of them. Some are nicer than others. These women, instead of feeling threatened, now I'm talking about the women that I've had the pleasure of working with, instead of feeling threatened, will go out of their way to help others succeed. I'm not talking about them. Those women are the true role models when it comes to, you know, women empowerment. I'm speaking to the mean girls. You know the kind. They're nice in public and dismissive in private. They talk about you to your peers. Sometimes they twist the story just to make themselves look good. They'll boycott your ideas and then, even worse, steal them for themselves. They'll purposely not invite you to meetings, parties, or gatherings. Some might even spread lies or rumors about you. In my opinion, the thing that I find the absolute worst is gaslighting. Do you know what gaslighting is?
Yep, I drive with the gas light on constantly. My record is like 30 kilometers on 0.
Although that part is true, that is not what I'm talking about, gaslighting. I actually didn't know what gaslighting was for a long time. And it would have been beneficial if I would have known this because I was being gaslit in my past. So let me tell you what it is. Gaslighting is a series of manipulation tactics that are used to help keep the victim from being able to differentiate between fact and fiction. So I was constantly being told, you never said that, when I clearly did. But it's the manipulation into, did I say that? Or maybe I didn't. So I'll just give you one example from a work past. I was waitressing. I ended up losing my job. No explanation. Just, we don't need you. Don't come in. There's no shift for you. And I was like, okay. You know, that happens sometimes. I didn't really care that much about the job. I could get another one very easily. But, you know, years went by and that owner of the restaurant lost their restaurant establishment and ended up with a chip truck. I just happened to end up at that chip truck and noticed that it was my old boss and thought, you know what? I'm going to ask that question because I've never been let go and I didn't quite understand. Apparently, he told me when I asked him that one of my old coworkers said that I had stolen. I'd stolen money. First of all, why would I steal?
To have money?
They were paying me to work there. I get more money by working there than risking it by taking whatever happened.
Seems very logical.
But I didn't know until years later. And that was caused by a coworker. So that's just an example of something that had happened to me. Chances are you've experienced some sort of mean girling, I want to call it. Mean girling within the workplace. If you're successful, we'll just say this. If you're successful or are following your dreams in any way, chances are you've already got a target on your back.
Agreed.
What can you do about these mean girls? Well, you can kill them with kindness. I know you've heard that. No killing. No killing. Just with kindness. I know you've heard that before. I'm not the first one to say that. I just want to point out that you should be kind and not fake. Right? I know Jackie always talks about kill them with kindness. And if you're looking for an example, follow that woman. She shows you how it's done. Kind, not fake. There's a difference. Absolutely do not engage in any sort of counterattack. It's not worth your time or your energy. And I'm sure you've heard the phrase, don't stoop to their level.
I've heard that phrase.
Okay, I was waiting. I was like, no.
You're talking to them. I'm just kind of a fly on the wall.
Okay, well, you say,
This is my fly wings. Not like a butter. Like what were they? Pasties.
Pasties. Okay, all right. Tip number 3, try problem solving. See if you can come to a solution. And if not, try and find how to spend less time around this person. That could be a solution as well. Do not gossip. Even talking about this person that you're having a problem with could be seen as negative. Keep the name out your mouth. Okay?
You know there's a bunch of women watching this right now going, she's talking about Susan. I'm going to go tell Susan Mary J was talking about you.
Actually, it was Karen, but just saying.
Sorry, Susan.
No, I wouldn't say that. I'm actually, like I said, you may think I'm talking to you, but I mean, that's on you. I don't know that. And honestly, I don't want to know that. If I'm talking to you, stay as far away from me as possible. Just saying that. Support and uplift others. Okay? Think about this before you open your mouth. Will it add value? If it doesn't, it's probably best not to open your mouth. Find your tribe. Find those people that support, love, and care for you, and surround yourself with them. Last but not least, take the high road. Because the reality is, if somebody doesn't like you or is jealous of you, there is not a damn thing you're going to say or do to change their mind. Just smile and tell yourself, be better, not bitter. And that's what gets me going.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of On the Spot with the Noobie and the Doobie. We are so excited today to be joined by Chris Bennett / Chris Burns.
What was just kind of a fun getting high thing for most of that time. I realized the benefits and had been exposed to how many people it helped in different ways, and then really started to get into like the advocate and activism part of it as well.
Yeah, that's actually really similar to my story, because I started when I was like 15 and smoked till, forever. And then it was actually the doctor that said, you do realize that you've been self-medicating for most of your life. And I was like, what? Does that mean I qualify for a medical thing? This was like 2006. And they're like, oh, no, I can't do that. I'm not. Because, at that time, doctors were like, oh, no, we're going to lose our license. And you had to pay for a special doctor. But anyways, that's a story for another time. I'm sure you had your own story of trying to jump through the loopholes of the medical system. It's great.
Yeah, we all did in those early days. It was, kind of even ashamed to see that, they were charging for prescriptions. And like, if you wanted a bigger prescription, it cost you more. And that whole part of it seemed kind of offside and a bit weird. But
that's not happening still, because I just had my license renewed and had to pay $25 a gram for that. If you know a place, let me know, because they honestly, doctors should not be charging. And I had to go to a special doctor at a special clinic because my doctor won't even do it.
Yeah, definitely. So I went to, I'll throw out there, a Light Clinic, Lyte. I've never paid a cent for any of my prescriptions. I don't think they operate or believe in that kind of thing. Okay. They can also help if you need like a home grow license and stuff like that. But cool. I was kind of fortunate once I started to get closer to legalization and wanting to get these papers and things like that. I had some great people around me that really directed me to the right places so I could avoid those kind of things.
Yeah.
Just that was the big thing that kind of always prevented me from getting a medical license. Was it seemed shady that they would be charging per gram kind of thing. And I think because they were the gateholders at the time, the only place you could really get them, they kind of took advantage of that. But there are definitely clinics out there that will help kind of connect you with the license without fees.
Mm-hmm. Well, I will say the price has gone down. I remember the first time I had my license, it was $400 plus tax. And I had to borrow the money from my dad because there was no way. Like, we're sick people. Like, I was on disability. Like, what extra money do you think I have? And the doctor, if you go to the doctor to actually order it online, because I was asking for a grow license, but if you ordered it online, it was like, oh my God, it would have been $600 a month with the tax and the shipping. And how am I supposed to pay my rent? And this is like medicine. It's like, this is another area that I was like, I wish we could fix in the Canadian medical system, where this is covered by some sort of like, I could go to the doctors and they can prescribe me opiates and, antidepressants, and I can take that prescription to the pharmacy and have it covered by the government, no problem. But not cannabis, not the safest alternative for me.
Yeah, it's also one of the very few medications I believe that is like has full sales tax on it.
It's the only one that is taxed with both provincial and an excise tax. It's disgusting. And they say the reason they do that is because the recreational consumer would then try and get a medical license, so that way they wouldn't have to pay the tax. Yeah.
I am learning a ton through this process. We've talked to some other artists before, and I've had my own thoughts on, I guess, the effect that cannabis can have on art. Some artists, and I'm going to call you an artist for the rest of the time that we have together, because I believe that's what you are.
Well, we all are.
We all
Chris
are.
taught us this.
Some will say, oh, whatever my art is, whether it's, painting, photography, performance, I never ever smoke before that because I just need to be focused. And then there's others who are like, well, I need to be focused, so therefore I take it for my art. Where do you stand on that when you're burning wood, and everything that is entailed in that? I don't want to just narrow it down to burning wood. But do you find that cannabis helps you in the creative process or hinders you?
I mean, I'm not sure about, it definitely helps. I wouldn't say it's a hindrance ever. I don't know if there's too many pieces of wood, and I've burned thousands of pieces of wood that I've done without cannabis in my system. I find the big one for me is that when I sit down, wood burning is a fairly slow process. An average small piece might be 4 to 5 hours, minimum kind of thing. I don't always use it for the creative part of like what I'm going to do on the canvas, but when I actually go to sit down and do it, I very much need a little bit of cannabis in my system. It kind of just even helps me, not be shaky. It helps me not think about, back pain sitting there for elongated periods of time, and can help you be very focused on it. So I find that it helps a lot for me. There have been a few times I've done like live burning in the bay where I wasn't maybe as stoned as normal, and I could just feel it at the beginning that I'm like shaking and jittery, and the coffee got to me and I didn't have that balance. So definitely, I think I'm a little better executing my art with when I'm got some THC in the system. Whenever
I hear those stories, it makes me laugh because I grew up in a religious world. I grew up through a church, like born and raised, Baptist church in Toronto. Was on my way to becoming a pastor. And I've often talked about the fact that if cannabis was even brought up at all, and usually it was buried and not talked about, but if it was brought up at all, it was, what I'm finding is a lot of misinformation, disinformation, and it was connected, right along the same lines with, cocaine, heroin. I mean, it was in the same level of all that stuff. So when I hear somebody talk about the fact of, it actually helps me steady my hand to work with fire, everything I would have heard growing up be like, do not work with fire and cannabis. What do you want to do? Burn the city down? And to hear the stories now, people say, no, you know what? It actually made me work with the fire a little bit safer. Is fascinating to me about how badly my mind was filled with so much opposite information of the benefits of what cannabis can do.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't blame you. There was a good 100 years of stigma put on all of us. So I totally understand that people, have kind of grown up like that and maybe have those misconceptions. There was a lot of misinformation, like you said, being fed to all of us. So I totally understand that.
Well, what I find interesting was at the beginning when Chris was telling his story, he said he had in his lifetime experienced people around him with experiences with harder drugs. And to him, in his mind, that cannabis was a safer alternative. And you growing up, you're like, drugs are drugs. Doesn't matter if it's alcohol, weed.
Say no to drugs. It was a blanket statement.
It was like, just say no. But I've learned through experience that I'm not ashamed to admit this, that just like when you drink beer versus a cooler versus shots of whatever mixed with pop or whatever it is, the difference between liquors and beers and spirits, completely different reactions. I can't drink red wine or champagne. I get completely sloshed. I'm all over the place. I used to be able to drink coolers fine. Beer makes me throw up. So just like all these other drugs, cocaine, speed, mushrooms, cannabis, they're all different levels of not only feeling, but what it's going to do to your body, like health-wise. Like Chris was saying, cannabis is a safer alternative. It comes from the earth. Just like magic mushrooms. But that's a topic for another show. But those are two, to me, the safer alternatives for medicine. And I mean, of course, lavender helps, and valerian helps with sleep, and Like,
Does
no
lavender
kinds.
help you, Chris?
What's that, sir?
Does lavender help you?
Help sleep, maybe?
Yeah, well, the thing about lavender is I use this almost daily as an explanation of like terpenes in cannabis and equating them to aromatherapy. So if we want to go down that hole a bit, I think it's a great analogy to kind of get people to understand terpenes. And, the people that really understand cannabis or know how important it is to get the average consumer to know that there's a lot more than just THC that is providing effect in the cannabis. So like lavender, there are naturally occurring terpenes in all plants and like fruits and vegetables everywhere. And cannabis is the same. So, a lot of people like to, think of sativa as your morning cannabis and indica as your couch nighttime one.
Right.
But to get a much more accurate understanding of the effects, you got to understand the terpenes. So lavender is the one I use for an example at like nighttime where, you might use those kind of earthy, muskier kind of floral notes at night to kind of calm you down. Whereas if you picture like a Body Shop, Satsuma wash in the morning is citrus and it's meant to kind of brighten up your day and awaken your senses. Those kind of things are a bit more like what you're getting from cannabis and stuff. So I went on a bit of tangent there based on that lavender call.
It's
I don't exactly use lavender myself, but I definitely will use some strains at night that might have those similar terpenes in them to kind of help me. So.
No, I think that's important for people to hear because when we're talking about the blanket statement of don't do drugs per se, it's like, well, don't do drugs, but hey, feel free to pop a Tylenol. Well, wait a minute, hold on one second. Where is that line drawn?
And have a coffee.
Like you're saying, terpenes, which was one of Marijane's word of the week, as I've been learning throughout this process, it's not just in cannabis, it's in everything. And so when you're talking about that, it's not really a tangent. It's the fact that, the same thing someone would do to light a lavender candle, the same effect can be had if you get the terpene from a certain strain of cannabis. It does the exact same thing, but one is seen as a no-no, and the other one is seen as quite acceptable because you can get it in Bath and Body Works.
Well, I like that he said that too, because when you deal with terpenes and things, especially like lavender, it's extremely strong. And I like to have a lavender bath before bed. But if you don't like the smell of lavender, personally, I'll tell you, I can't smoke a linalool strain. I can't smoke the strain that have the same terpene that lavender has because I struggle with the smell. And I've learned that it's the terpene. But I'm the citrus person. I'll smoke the citrus all day, every day, at night, no problem sleeping.
So, Chris, about your work, as we head back into your work here, there was a time when I was both a Christian and a comedian. And at one point, people would often say, so are you a Christian comedian? And I would always be like, well, no, I don't think so. I think I'm a comedian.
What is a Christian comedian? Somebody who tells...
A Christian comedian would be somebody who tells
Jesus
Christian jokes, Jesus jokes. And at the time, I would say, well, no, I'm a comedian who happens to be Christian. And it was something I had learned from a performer named Steve Bell and Adrian Plass had both talked about this thing. For you, I haven't seen all your work. So I think there is a difference, though. Like, is your work cannabis themed? Are you a artist that happens to do cannabis, or are you a cannabis artist? You know what I'm saying with that?
I'm both, I'd say. Most of the work I did with the wood burning was commission based. So definitely not everyone is doing something or asking for something that is cannabis themed. But I also have done quite a bit of cannabis themed artwork, more so when it's like, something original that I'm inspired to do. Often I will put the cannabis theme in there or try and make a statement or just, something creative that kind of touches on cannabis. I found it's something that's, has become almost inevitable. There's enough times where I've set up my art on like a table at a show nothing cannabis themed at all. People look at it, look at me, look at it again, look at me and say, "Oh, you smoke a lot of weed, eh?" You know? So it's just, I kind of had to understand. I don't know if it's like the goofy look in my face with the, uber creative artwork on the table, or what it is. But,
it's probably the red eyes.
Yeah, it's partly that, probably.
And the dry mouth.
And the dry mouth.
And the dry mouth, yeah. But, also I have kind of really embraced being, a cannabis forward person to help spark those conversations, to do my part to kind of help advocate for it. So I'm not at all shy to put that, part forward. I've kind of accepted and embraced that, which also comes along with some stigma and stuff along with it. But I've always been, confident and happy to kind of do what I can to combat that as well. So.
Well, it is that time again. We have come to the end of another episode and also to the end of 2021.
I thought it was time for a smoke.
No, well, I guess technically it's always time for a smoke. Hey, thank you so much for tuning in throughout this year. And if you watch this in 2022, welcome. We would encourage you, though, if you could, if you enjoyed that interview that we just had with Chris Burns, that was our part 2. You can see full interviews on our Patreon page, which is at the Noobie and The Doobie.ca maybe, or .com. I should probably look into that. But go to Patreon, type in the Noobie and The Doobie, and if you can support us, $4.20 a month, you'll have access to full interviews. We're going to be doing a lot more interviews coming into 2022. And just that money, it's a little extra we can give you, but that $4.20 a month can help us to really fulfill what we want to do with this podcast going forward. So your support would be greatly appreciated.
It always makes me smile when he says $4.20. And don't forget, you can find us on all social media networks, Facebook, Instagram, mostly on Instagram, but at the Noobie and the Doobie.
And as you head into 2022, we once again, we want to thank you for your involvement with us and your support of us, and hopefully you've been entertained and educated here. This is episode 37, I believe. Who knew when we started this thing off? So as you enter into 2022, we hope that you will spend that year
sharing our content with your friends and family.
That's not
whether they're a newbie or a doobie.
That's a really good statement. Just wasn't where I thought we were going to go with it.
No, you didn't let me put it in earlier. You figure by almost 40 episodes, we would have this ending down.
Until we see you again.
Stay lifted.
And keep on laughing. Happy New Year.
So many cards. That's a year's worth of cards.